There we go, we're live.
Great, okay. Let's give everyone a few minutes to join before we officially kick off. Ooh, numbers are going up, so that's good. Okay, so that's 12:02. I think let's get going. Hello all, and welcome to EPC Live. My name is Mike Eitel, and I lead the data center integration team for Microsoft in EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I'm your host today, but I'll be supported by four of my colleagues who are also going to be assisting me, and also leaders in our organization. So, first of all, let me welcome you all. It's a bit strange for me because I can't actually see anyone's faces, but I can see that we've got 92 people who have joined the call so far, so that's great. So I'm going to dive straight in. Before then, kind of agenda-wise, I'll give you a bit of an understanding of what CO+I, Cloud Operations and Innovation within Microsoft is as an organization, and also what EPC is, Engineering, Procurement, Construction. And then I'm supported by a number of my colleagues who are going to help me talk through why we're here and what we're here to talk about. So let's get going. Like I said, this is me, but moreover, so CO+I. CO+I, Cloud Operations and Innovation, is the team responsible for the entire Microsoft data center delivery lifecycle, from planning to acquisition to design and construction, through build out and day-to-day operations. We operate one of the largest cloud networks on the planet, comprised of more than 300 data centers, 250 plus edge sites, and 4 million miles of fiber, and millions of servers and network and storage devices. So, essentially, it's the organization that builds and runs the Microsoft Cloud. EPC. EPC it stands for Engineering, Procurement and Construction. It's one of the teams within CO+I and is the central entity accountable for overseeing the design, engineering, cost control and management, procurement, as well as the construction, fit out, installation and commissioning of our data centers, culminating in the handover to operations for the delivery of services to our customers. So before I introduce you to the other leaders who are going to be helping me here, as part of our continuous growth, we're here really to talk about what we call EPC hiring. This event, so as EPC in EMEA is currently hiring for various roles in most of our teams across multiple locations. You may be considering for one of those roles, or you're just curious to learn about Microsoft data centers, our team and what we do. And definitely, if you're here for that, you're in the right place. So we wanted to give you the opportunity to get to know us today, what we do, how we operate as a team. So hopefully this will be really useful for all of you. I'm supported by 4 of my colleagues today. Brian Brett, who leads our data center engineering team, Sarah Devitt, who leads data design management lead, Alberta Riva, who's the data center construction lead, and Pat Duffy, who's the data center commissioning director. So I think you've heard enough from me for now. I'm going to hand you over to Brian, who's going to talk through, introduce himself and talk through what he does and why we're here from his perspective. Over to yourself, Brian.
Thanks, Mike, and welcome to everyone on the call. Nice to have you here today. It's great to have this opportunity to have a chat to you all about what's coming up for the future for us in this hiring event. So data center engineering, basically at Microsoft, we are technically here to oversee everything to do with our builds or actually our leases. So anything technical around our designs or what our requirements are going into a data center facility is data center engineering team will oversee that. We have a number of different disciplines that work underneath me. Design management is key within our build structure. And we have various subject matter experts. So we have electrical, mechanical, telecoms, civil structures, and architecture, all disciplines that will formulate underneath my overall leadership. When we do our own builds, we have a very strong partnership with our AE firms, architect engineering firms. I think most of you on the call within EMEA will understand that as a consultancy practices. We have a bench of consultants that we have a heat map on where they might be well suited and well located for the various different countries that we're working in. And so we divvy out the work accurately so we can keep everyone, not overstretched, over committed. Our designs are there's a lot of attention goes into our own build designs, but on the lease side of things, I think Mark's bag to talk to here is also something to do with like our requirements, our A2 requirements. Very similar to what we do in our designs. We're trying to have a consistency across our designs and a standardization of that. It's very exciting times for us when we come to Microsoft because, with the introduction of AR, there is an evolution of what's be happening within our organization going forward. So I think I covered most of that really. Just for the roles that are coming up and what we're looking for, it's just to be very clear, it's not the front end side of that. I've just explained what we do. From my team oversees the architect engineering companies that do the designs on our behalf off the back of our basis of designs or our plan of records. And then when we get to site, our architect engineering firms are still very much involved. They have an accountability and a responsibility to oversee the designs that they have done. That's not changing. They're very much going to be based on our construction sites. What we are looking for with our hires, and I'm going to not take away Sarah's thunder because she's going to talk about the specific roles, but we are looking for site-based people that will complement what we are doing from the design side, and will be Microsoft's eyes and ears based on site and working very closely with Alberto's team from the construction and obviously Pat's team that will be there for commissioning. So those roles specifically looking at that. Sarah's going to talk to you about the specific roles we're looking at there coming up next. But other than that, I just think I think maybe some questions later on in the chat, but that's a brief overview. Just a little bit more about me very quickly. I'm an electrical engineer. I've been with Microsoft for just on 4 years now. I come from a background of consulting engineering. Did lots of designs for Microsoft before I joined them. So, and our expansion program, where we're going in the next 5 to 10 years, is very exciting. Across EMEA, just very quickly to say, designs and builds mainly in Africa and in European countries. In the Middle East countries, we are very much leases at the moment, but we do have a strong input into what might be our requirements going into those lease providing companies that we work with. So hopefully that's not too quick an introduction, Mark, but just wanted to give a quick overview of what does data center engineering is. I'm probably going to ask Sarah to take it up from there and talk a little bit more about her experiences at Microsoft. And Sarah works directly with me, and hopefully she can introduce the specific roles that we're looking at and talking to. Sarah, over to you.
Great, thanks very much, Brian. So yeah, as Brian said, I joined Brian's data center engineering team very recently. I'm 2 months into Microsoft at this stage, so I'm still very much a newbie. Got the rose-colored spectacles on and looking at the world in a very different light. Before joining DCE, I was working on the AE side, so the architectural engineering consultancy side. And certainly through the majority of my last 4 or 5 years, I was working pretty much exclusively for Microsoft. So coming over to the other side has been quite interesting. And I'll probably touch on that a little bit later if I've got time. My role is I'm the design management lead for EMEA North. So EMEA North covers the UK and Ireland and the Nordics. And I've got a colleague who covers EMEA South, and we tag team between ourselves to make sure we've got consistent delivery across the region. Bit about myself, I'm 30 years in the industry. I'm a structural engineer by background. Not all of that 30 years has been in data centers by any means, but I've got a very broad breadth of projects that I've been delivering over that time. What is a design manager? What does design management do? Well, we're the glue that holds the project together from an engineering design point of view. So we drive the project from start to finish. We work directly with the architects and engineers to ensure that they deliver the design that is loyal and true to our basis of design. We coordinate the AEs so that they talk to our subject matter experts and they make sure that the design is technically robust all the way through and fully coordinated. But we're also responsible for cross-collaboration with many other teams within Microsoft. We have our environmental teams, our permitting teams, our land teams, our energy teams. All of those we have to be working with seamlessly across the entire life cycle of the project. And the design manager is really that glue that holds all of that together. So the roles that we're hiring for, they are basically roles, as Brian touched on, for the construction stage of the project. We're looking for 2 execution oversight team design managers, 5 mechanical site engineers and 5 electrical site engineers. So the execution oversight team is a new team that we're creating as part of this major hiring initiative to work collaboratively with construction project managers, with cost control managers, with contracts, with commissioning team, with the IT installation team, through our entire portfolio across the region. The role is going to be 50 to 75% travel, and it really will be 50 to 75% travel. You need to be used to the inside of an airport departures lounge, because the theory around it is that this team will travel site to site to site to identify issues and conflicts and clashes and so forth before they become problems to the delivery of the construction project. So you'll be part of a larger team. You will need to be incredibly collaborative with the other members of the team. You will be the interface between the AEs and the remaining parts of the team, including the general contractor. And it is really important that you've got a very good technical knowledge of design and construction phase projects. The other 10 roles, there's 5 mechanical site engineers, 5 electrical engineers. They will be based on one site. And the sites that have been identified is Helsinki in Finland, Gävle in Sweden, Madrid in Spain, Milan in Italy, and Dublin in Ireland. So each of those campuses will have 1 mech and 1 elec engineer based on site. As Brian mentioned, the AEs are still intrinsically involved in the delivery of the construction phase, ensuring that the design is what is actually executed on site. But the purpose of the site-based mechanical and electrical engineers is an acknowledgement that this is the most important part of our delivery and has to be right. And you will act as the conduit between the AEs and back to the design stage team, the subject matter experts that started the project from the very word go, and the GC and the remaining parts of the Microsoft team based on site. As I said, it's very important that these roles have a strong technical design-based background. You need to be able to understand data center design and how it's executed on site. And so you would need to have experience of at least execution of one of your design projects through site or from a contractor point of view. So that's introduced the roles that we're looking for. I thought it'd be quite useful because I am so fresh into Microsoft. I think I can give you a bit of an insight on why I chose Microsoft and whether the reality has lived up to my expectations. As I say, I've still got those rose-colored spectacles on at the moment. Having worked for Microsoft on the other side of the fence for a number of years, I think one of the main things that attracted me is it was very, very clear that we've got a very, very high caliber and quality of professionals in the company. We do hire the best, and without doubt, there is that very, very high standard of person that you'll be working with. I'm happy to say that that is true since I've joined them. They are very, very good team members. And I think the thing that has really been great for me to find out is all of the teams that I would have had less input to as a consultant are equally of a high caliber. And I think as well, the other thing that attracted me was the culture of the organization. It was very clear even from the other side that Microsoft has a culture of collaboration and also a culture of growth and learning and willingness to learn. And that's not just learning from your successes, it's learning from failures as well, because you always learn more from the things that go wrong than the things that go right. And it's that willingness to admit and learn from things that provide you with a very open and honest environment to work in. And then I think the other main reason was, as Brian touched on, this is a really exciting time to be in the data center industry. We've got exponential growth, primarily driven by AI and machine learning. And I think the challenge on how to scale at speed while maintaining the high quality, but also maintaining the very onerous climate targets that we've set ourselves, is a challenge that I certainly wanted to take on. It's not necessarily for the faint-hearted, but it's one that is really exciting, and it's a great time to be involved at the coalface of this data revolution. And I think at that point, I've probably expended all of the time I was meant to take, so I will, without ado, hand you over to Alberto.
Thank you, Sarah. And if you can go to the next slide, Mike. I would like first to introduce myself, a little bit of my team, the organization, what we do, what we are looking for, and why we are here today. So first, thanks for joining today. This is a great experience to learn about Microsoft and for us to share a little bit on what we do and what we are looking for. As said, my name is Alberto Riva, based in Italy, married with Anna, who is a wonderful wife, 2 daughters who are my best motivators. Joined Microsoft 4 years ago, spent most part of my career in the construction industry. I have a 25-year experience in the construction and engineering an engineering background. So as I said, I lead the construction team in EMEA. My team is composed at the moment of around 40 people. And to be honest, this is the best team I have ever managed in my career. What I like in my team is that they are accountable. We are accountable to deliver against our promises. And our promises are around 4 main pillars. First one, safety. Second, quality. cost, and schedule. These are not in the right order, but the four together make the hotspot for the delivery. Talking about safety, my only purpose is that everyone that join and attend the site goes home safe and even in a better condition as he was going or she was going on site. This is not easy. This requires a daily effort. Safety is everyone and everyday responsibility. This week, the industry is celebrating the Safety Week, great initiatives across the globe, but safety is not just this week, is every day. And we need to hold first ourselves accountable, voice any concern that we have on site, stop and prevent the risk injuries, and this is what our team does every day on site. The second pillar is quality. We are client obsessed. We need to deliver against our expectation to our customer, and this starts on site. This is not just when the client uses our services, but this starts every day on the job to ensure that the quality of the installation are against the specification. And then we are on the market. We are in competition with peers, and we need to deliver against the cost and the schedule benchmark and predictability. So this is in essence what my team does on site every day, and the activity that we do, we work very closely with the other pillars within EPC. We look right and left. Construction doesn't start when you open the site, but when you look at a new plot of land, when you do the site due diligence, the constructability review, the input that we provide on the design, but the core of the activities is on site. What we are looking for? We are looking for people that are accountable, that are passionate, they have a growth mindset. I do believe that Microsoft today is leading the industry in terms of the growth. I have more than 30 projects in flight and more to come on 15 nationalities. And this gives me the opportunity to speak a little bit about diversity and inclusion. Thinking about my team, we have more than overall 700 years experience in construction. A very diverse team in terms of not only male and female, but also nationalities, background. Not everybody is coming from the data center industry. We have people coming from other industry, and we do believe that this is a value. Being inclusive, being open, listening every voice at the table. This is what make it happen. In terms of what we are looking for and why we are having this massive campaign this moment in EMEA. This is just to cope with the growth that we are experiencing. We are entering new countries. We do have established projects, medium and large size projects in different countries, and the purpose is to reinforce the site-based team that we have on each of the sites. We have several positions that are open. Sarah has spoken a little bit about the EOT team, the execution oversight team, which we do have a couple of positions open in DCD, but we do have also other positions for site director, which is the metro lead for the country or the metro, the region we are working in, the construction manager position, then a superintendent for MEP or CSA, which need to check and balance the quality of the activities on site, logistic and document control, and quality superintendent and quality manager on site. As I said, these positions are all site-based position. We need to be where the activities happen. We need to hold our GC partners accountable to a predictive delivery for us, and this is a daily job. Having said this, I do believe that I've gone through the process interview, like some of you likely will do if you apply, and if you think that this is of value for you. This was 4 years ago, and looking back the last 4 years, this has been an amazing job. I do believe that Microsoft is a leading company, not just on innovation, the scale, the capacity that we have, but also the value that we embrace here in Jacobs. As I said, safety is paramount of all the activities that we do, but together with this also ethic, the caring of the people that we live every day here in Microsoft, and all these values that have been told that are on the website. I can assure you that I'm really experiencing this every day. So we are looking for people that are curious, that are passionate, that are innovative, brave, and look forward to meet you during the interview, and hopefully to join my team in EMEA. With this, and then perhaps we can have some time at the end for Q&A. I hand over to Mike Eitel, who will explain about data center integration, what it does, who is my direct partner for delivery. Over to you, Mike.
Great, thanks, Alberto. Back to me again. So as Alberto said, I lead the data center integration team, and the people in my team are all typically called ITIM, so Integration and Technical Infrastructure Managers. What do we do? Essentially, we oversee the fit out of the data center white spaces, which is why I work very closely with all of our partners, but particularly with Alberto in the construction space. So my team manage our contractors and vendors to deliver the telecommunications infrastructure that essentially turns the building which we've built into a data center. We provide project management of all the fit-out activities across the Microsoft-owned systems and services, and all the critical infrastructure required to be installed inside the data center. What does that mean? It means that we're working across a full end-to-end project lifecycle. A lot of the time we're in the background because it's preparing the projects before we actually arrive on site, and we're delivering that across both our own Microsoft builds and the leased data centers. So at the moment, our portfolio is about 150 live projects, looking at this current financial year and the next financial year, where we've already started to do works. And the quantity is such that because of the demand that's been driven with all the latest revelations in the data center or in the cloud industry. A bit about myself. I joined Microsoft 2.5 years ago to lead the team as one of the new regional leaders. I previously consulted into Google, and prior to that, I worked at Amazon in the Amazon logistics side of things. Prior to that, I spent 6 years as a management consultant working in oil and gas and international development. And my formative years were spent as a British Army officer when I was served in the Royal Engineers for 16 years. So I've had quite an eclectic career. And this is my third career, which is, I think the way life is now. So, but similar to my colleagues, this is by far the best job I've had since leaving the army. I absolutely love what I do. I'm privileged to lead an absolutely awesome team. And one of the biggest attractions or things that makes me get up is my team and the culture which exists, which is truly collaborative. We're currently hiring for 4 positions, you would have seen, 2 for part of the execution oversight team, which Sarah alluded to earlier, and 2 for on-site roles based in Madrid and Gavla. So Madrid in Spain and Gavla in Sweden. Those roles are going to be very different to each other. The execution oversight team is going to be traveling a lot, firefighting, working with the other cross-functional colleagues, whereas the on-site teams will be based on site full-time, working to support the fit out of the data centers across various those campuses as they evolve. So exciting times for us. I do expect more roles to be opening up in the not too distant future, so keep your eyes out for that. What I'm looking for me, I've learned over years, both through my military background, but also consulting into many companies, that culture is key. And our CEO has really driven the importance of culture since he took the helm many years ago now. And that's been, I think a lot of people would agree, the route to Microsoft's success. So that is still the same for myself. What I'm looking for really is people that are a good fit for our culture and our team culture. And that means the ability to create clarity, drive energy and deliver results, but also to do so in a way where we have integrity, respect and accountability. And that's really important to us. Yes, you need a construction background or a telecoms infrastructure background, preferably both, but I know that isn't always available. And good technical acumen, but the technical acumen is important, but really what we're looking for is both that art of being able to merge a technical acumen with that cultural fit. And I think one of the things I've learned with Microsoft as well is, which differs from other engineering sectors, is that you have to be able to deal with a pretty rapid pace and a rapid pace of change. The only thing that is constant is change, and that's certainly the case. Technically, we have to change a lot. We're expected to, because ultimately we're a tech company, not an end. Because we're a tech company, we as the infrastructure and engineering people, our job is to support the tech company to deliver the cloud infrastructure that is what drives Microsoft forward. So I think that's it for me, really, just in terms of describing what I do and what my team does and what we're looking for. So I'm going to hand over to Pat now. Pat, again, we work with as one of our key partners, and essentially when we finish the fit out, it's Pat that I'm handing over to commission, so that he can then hand it over alongside my team to data center operations to run the data center. So over to yourself, Pat.
Thanks, Mike. Pat Duffy. I'm the Regional Commissioning Director for Microsoft, as people have introduced me earlier. I've started out as a mechanical engineer way back and worked through various companies and different roles in design management and project management and construction and facilities management. Mainly, well, both actually in consultancy and direct with some companies, which led me to join Microsoft as a consultant in 2007, which was the first hyperscale outside the US, and spent since 2007 probably half of my time as a contract consultant, and then joined Microsoft Direct about 6 years ago and started out with the commissioning team and eventually took over leadership of the commissioning team in EMEA. Currently in the team in EMEA, I have 14 people working for me directly. And again, as Alberto said, there's a diversity across nationalities. I think I have about 10 nationalities and different cultures as well. And obviously diversity in terms of male and female. And I think that is very much to some of the core values of Microsoft. We also manage a large number of commissioning engineers and commissioning agents or companies that we contract across the region. Like Mike, I'm covering, and Brian as well, I suppose, I cover both build and lease delivery models. So the build being where we purchase the land and we basically, Microsoft owns everything. The other model is where we go out to providers in the market and we contract based on an SLA level. The commissioning team are involved in the leases as well and verifying those leases are up to Microsoft's requirements or standards, really. Commissioning, we're responsible for delivering the infrastructure that supports the services to the rack. So that be mainly power, electrical power, and then the environment through temperature and humidity control. So on the electrical side, you'll be looking at the whole distribution network coming in from the gate or even outside the gate sometimes, down through the various electrical distributions and backup systems, UPSs, generators, etc., down to rack level. And then on the mechanical side, you have all the equipment and like chillers, air handlers, etc., and all the controls involved in managing those to ensure basically that as best we can, none of our servers go down due to power or temperature and humidity and control, etc. The process of commissioning is there. It's a quality focused process to enhance the delivery, or I suppose more de-risk outages. And we do that through testing and documenting all our tests that they're in compliance with the design and contract requirements at the end of the day. Again, as others have said, the commissioning team, and it's a general collaborative environment in Microsoft. The commissioning team have to work with probably every pillar of the project delivery disciplines, be it design, be it Mike's team, be it Alberto's team in construction and construction managers. Also outside through the lease providers and their teams. So yeah, it's a very much a collaborative environment. Our main lift is really when construction believe they're finished with the project and it's done. We come in then as a team and verify all the systems, run it through various predefined testing, and record the results. In more recent years, we've been on a journey really to automate elements, or as much as we can, of the commissioning process. That helps us on a number of fronts. It kind of helps us in terms of standardizing all our testing, but also it helps us with more guaranteeing the time it's taken to actually test and get through those batch of tests that we have to perform before we hand over or sign it off really for operation. We are looking for, again, as some of the other guys already covered, commissioning managers and engineers in two different areas. DOT commissioning manager, there's two positions, Dublin and Amsterdam. These are kind of more seasoned people, I would say, who can be subject matter experts and go around firefighting in some cases on projects, but also help set up new projects or new teams in the wider sense of project delivery teams to be successful. You know, take our best in class from various projects around the globe even, and show new people coming into Microsoft how it should be done. Well, a lot of we imply, as Sarah said, we try to imply the best. And anyone coming in are generally very good at their discipline, but they may not have, they definitely haven't been through the Microsoft process, etc. But may not also have delivered a Microsoft data center. So it's setting those people up for success as well. It will be part of the role, particularly, as I said, for where we have new parties. And usually, to be honest, they're in new regions or new countries. So most of the groups on the project are probably new and less experienced with Microsoft deliveries. The other 5 roles, which will be based in Dublin, Gävle in Sweden, Madrid in Spain, Milan in Italy, and Vienna in Austria, are site-based commissioning managers or engineers. So they will be on the site with the construction managers, carrying out the test and inspection, making sure the processes are followed, and will be, 100% on site really. Whereas, as Sarah said, the EOT roles are probably the opposite. They're going to spend most of their time traveling to different locations around EMEA, helping out the teams. Sarah probably covered it better than me in terms of why join Microsoft or why it's a good company to work for. I do believe it's a good company to work for. I've seen that. I was like Sarah from the outside for a good number of years. And then I eventually joined. I think the culture is very good. And that's my experience. Sorry. And, Microsoft have company values of model, coach, and care. And I do believe we do live up to those, and individuals experience that we do live up to those. Okay, that's not to say we don't have high standards and we don't have high demands around delivery of capacity, etc. But at the end of the day, I think Microsoft and your colleagues treat you as individuals as well, or human beings. I think I'll jump, maybe Mike, into, I've seen a commissioning question, which I'll just take up. Something was Fahad asked earlier. Where do you think commissioning of the DCs is going to go in the next 5 years? The capacity demand is driving already a number of things around standardization, not just for commissioning, but through the whole process, from Brian's designs, etc. That's probably one area we're going to have to get more and more standardized if we're going to meet the delivery of demand and help our vendors in a lot of cases as well. The pre-assembled and pre-assembled and tested offsite is another area I do think is going to keep growing, and we in commissioning are going to have to grow and adapt and be a bit more flexible in some instances around that. And then internally at Microsoft on our builds, we're continuing to develop our test and commissioning automation. As I said earlier, that is to help us in the overall capacity and number of projects we have to deliver, so that we can kind of be quicker and more nimble. Again, be standardized in our testing, etc. And then I suppose the other industrial buzz at the moment is AI. That's going to bring huge challenges, particularly around the overall size of these projects coming. I don't know where that's going to end up in commissioning yet, but I'm sure the process is not going to change terribly amount. It's just how we deal with the size and maybe the complexity as well of some of these facilities. So that's me, Mike. I'll hand back to you.
Great, thank you, Pat. So that's it from all the speakers for today. So really, I think it's a good time. We've got 15 minutes or so, just over 15 minutes to go through some questions and answers. So I'm just going to read some of these out. And then we can see which of my colleagues would quite fancy taking them on. Right, so let me look at these. Here's an easy one to get us going. So the question is, Alberto mentioned the team size of 40. What are the team sizes for the rest of the directorates? So that's probably one for Brian. Are you able to provide an answer to
that? Yeah, it's probably our current DCE team size is about 42. Again, this is sitting on the design side of the house, but for the construction PCNs we're looking for, we specifically are looking for about 12, I think, Sarah, at the top of mind, is what we're looking for in our team. So 2 design managers and I think 5 electrical, 5 mechanical site-based engineers is what we're looking for this hiring tranche. It's not to say that that might not expand in the future, but that's from a data center engineering perspective for this hiring tranche. If that helps, Mark.
Yeah, that's great. Another one regarding quality. So the question is, as mentioned, one of Microsoft's biggest challenges with such exponential growth expected is to guarantee the highest quality product. What is Microsoft's approach to ensuring that new GCs and subcontractors in the emerging regions meet the high standards expected? Is it uniform over the whole EMEA region? Would anyone like to take that?
I can take this, Mike, and I would like to combine also with another question, which is about the learning from one project to the other, and how we do ensure that we have a continuous learning. So what I can share is that first, Microsoft is a learning organization. We do make mistakes, we do fail, but what's more important is that we learn from our mistakes. How do we do this? We do have several opportunities. I tend to speak about lessons applied rather than lessons learned, because to learn is not enough. What's important is to apply. And first, we do share among our teams one project to the other. We invite and encourage GCs, vendors to walk and attend visits on other sites, and this is more relevant for new GCs or a new region. We know that our GC partners are constrained in capacity. We do have quite a robust process in terms of onboarding, and for sure GCs in a new region or that have never worked for us need a special effort in terms of on the first project. I think that the culture here in Microsoft is really the sharing and getting everybody to learn from the experience of others. This is from the individual, but it is also within the project, and this translates into some very practical activities, meaning paying a visit, onboarding, structured onboarding with the different pillars during the first month, but not just on the first month, on the key milestones and the key moment of the project, like when the structure is starting, when the watertight of the building, when we do start the MEP fit out, and when we do start the commissioning. And our team really embrace this great culture of sharing, and we love partnering with GCs that have the same culture. I hope that, Mike, I did answer the question here.
Yeah, I think you certainly did.
I just add to Alberto, Mike, you know, something I hadn't seen before in any company or industry was really, we bring new GCs, we bring new commissioning people, etc., to our existing sites. And okay, and outside the gates, a lot of these companies are competitors, but there is an environment of learning and trying to encourage learning and best practices, as Alberto has just said.
Yeah, and Pat, I'll jump in on the back of that too. I think sharing that examples, I've certainly seen that. Look, in the 4 years I've been here, we've really taken steps to make sure what looks good is across, trying to be across all our construction sites, and this applies to the AEs that are working for us too. So good examples versus examples that haven't gone well is very important. It starts with the AE design and making sure lessons learned from one project to the next is passed on. And something that we are trying also to do is that Alberto and his team and Pat and their team have a partnership approach with the GCs, and I have a partnership approach with my AEs, and we've got to bring those two together to make sure that there's a successful project on all bases. So having the GCs on board while we are in the design phase, so when we hit the ground running for construction, understanding the design, making sure all the right questions are asked before we go there is another very key point that we're striving for in this region to make sure we get it right. Thanks, Mike.
Great, thank you. Another question. So I just found it, now I've lost it again. Where is it? Yeah, I thought this was interesting. Is there a separate directorate for land acquisition and energy? Because I'm assuming there's people out there who are wondering where that fits into the overall way we deliver our projects. Would anyone be able to take that question?
Yeah, I can jump in, Mark. So yeah, we have a team within the CO and R family just outside of EPC, but they're still partners and collaborators. Land acquisition is someone at Datacenter Engineering are actively involved in really early on in the project. Obviously, this is finding our land parcels, and they would be the first ones. Once identified that land parcel, they send me a signal and ask me to do test fit to see what we can fit onto that land parcel. So we have a very close relationship with it when we do on our site due diligence process. They are kind of the funders for us. DCE and the EPC team as a whole get very actively involved. We hire the AE to do that process, so we're working very collaboratively with our land acquisition team. And energy is another part of that is a separate team outside of the EPC team, but within the CO&R family, where they are very closely tied in with land acquisition, as you can imagine, because power and utilities and other aspects have to be upfront for us before we even go into SDD, so we have an understanding of what we can deliver. So that's how we bring all of that together. Both of those organizations will stay with us through the design period, probably into, land acquisitions might hand over a little earlier, but there are always things that we need to be looking at with the purchasing of our land parcels and making sure we get into the construction period. And then they probably will drop away, but the energy team might be staying with us through the construction period until we get those connections from the utilities or however we are dealing with it locked in and ironed out. So hopefully that's answered the question.
Yeah, Brian, I think so. Just to complement on what you said, it is in this very early stage of a program that we start experiencing the collaborative approach. My team from construction look at the site from a construction perspective. We do traffic study, we look at the routing, we look at the plot from a construction and sequence perspective to ensure that we have a proper execution plan and with the risk the execution. So for sure in the early stage of the program, the construction input is limited to these key points in terms of logistic constructability, supply chain availability in the area, traffic and routing. But this is something that we have learned, and this is a clear example from learning from the past. We have learned and we have implemented new processes which are already giving their benefit. To look at the plot of land in an early stage of the acquisition from a more holistic perspective.
Thank you, Albert and Brian. Next question, really. This is an interesting one, I think. The question is, I'm particularly interested in understanding the level of autonomy granted to site-based individuals within Microsoft's project organization. Could you provide insights into whether the project processes are centrally managed, with site teams primarily serving as eyes and ears, or if site teams are empowered with autonomy to make critical decisions by sticking to procedure and mechanisms?
I can take this, Mike, and this is a very interesting question. I don't know who has done it, but thanks for the question. So for sure, the delivery is local, and the reporting is global. So CapEx is managed centrally, globally, and we need to hold ourselves accountable to deliver against the stage gates that we have in terms of cost and schedule. So the decision making is on site, because if we do not, we are empowered to take decisions on site to the boundaries that we have in terms of the delivery against the 4 pillars I mentioned earlier: safety, quality, cost and schedule, predictability. If there are major changes or major things that happen on a project, say the power is delayed or we do have a change in the scope or whatever, these need to be, and depending on the size and the impact on the project, we need to go back and revisit from a TCO perspective, from a return of the investment perspective, and this is done more centrally. However, global and local need to go together, meaning the delivery, as I said, is local. That's why we do have this site-based team that are empowered to take a decision on a day-by-day job, and the reporting is both within the region but also to the global function. Hope that I have answered the question. I don't know if the other can provide additional inputs here.
I'll add a bit in there as well. So in terms of my team, because we support both the builds and the leases, it means that on the builds, we have an item typically who's covering off several build projects, but also what we find is most of my team are actually managing both builds and leases, so they're managing a program of projects. And because of the quantity of projects we have, there's no way that we could centralize the control, command and control, and the project management of all that. So it's very much about, for me, empowering each of my team members to succeed by giving them the resources they need, trying to get the obstacles out of the way, but very much they're there to run their program, to work with the other teams to support them in order to deliver the results and the outcomes that we're trying to get to.
Yeah, Mark, I'll just come in the back. I think I was going to echo what both you and Alberto have sort of said. What's been really positive with this organisation over the last couple of years, at least the last 2 years, we've moved into a very clear model in the region. It's regional execution. So the decisions and the accountabilities are in the region. Of course, we report back to Redmond and our functions, but you know, once we get past the project charter, we're off to start the work. We very much are accountable to drive that and make sure we hit our targets and hit our deliverables, which is very key.
Cool. I think we've probably got time for one last question, and this is one perhaps for Sarah. The question is, how do our data centers compare with our competitors, and what do we think sets us apart? So I thought, Sarah, it might be an interesting one for you, being quite relatively new to the organisation, and having seen others, some of our competitors, and what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really comment on the actual functioning data center and how that's set apart, because I think that's probably got a competitive edge that isn't relevant here. I can certainly talk to the culture of working here. I think we've touched on it a number of times. I think the culture in Microsoft is a very open and collaborative culture. That's not necessarily industry standard. It does stand apart in my mind in terms of that culture of learning. You know, there isn't a blame culture. It's all about a team to get to a common end of a successful project delivery. I think that's the main thing that sets apart working here. I don't know if Pat, you want to add anything onto that?
No, I think it is the team, and collaborative is obviously a huge part of it. I don't think we should really get into the competitors. I'm not probably qualified really. We tried to do our best to ensure that our business and our operations team don't have to deal with potential outages, and that's really what we're all marked on at the end of the day. So.
I'll jump in just in the back of that. Look, you know, we often get compared against our competitors, and there's reports that go out and try to compare us against all the other hyperscalers, and it's very difficult because each of us have very different specific requirements coming in from within our organization of how we deliver it. So it's difficult to talk about our specifics here, but what Pat was touching on there is very key to us. It's about our availability figure, and that's never losing power to our customers. Our customers are the most important thing for us, either be it in our builds or our leases. So you know, the standard of availability and resilience is key. So that's what I'll say, is that Microsoft has a very high standard on that, and our competitors have different functions about them that might not need to meet those standards. So I'd say that that's the only thing we can really offer to be very clear at this stage on that question. But I hope that helps a bit with the answer.
Cool. Thanks, Brian. I have to wrap up there because we're at time, but thank you all for attending, and thank you for my colleagues for supporting us. We're really excited about this opportunity to talk to you all, to give you a bit of an insight into our company, which, as you probably picked up on, we are very proud of and very happy that we're here. So really, we're looking for like-minded individuals who can join our teams because to come help us build the Microsoft Cloud. We do think we've got a great culture, and if you're a good fit, then please, try go for one of the jobs. And I look forward to potentially seeing you on the interview panel one day. Just final thing for any of my colleagues before we close.
No, just wanted to thank everybody for listening. It was very engaging from our side. I hope that we've been able to pass through the message that we are passionate about what we do. We are passionate about Microsoft, and it is a really exciting moment. Really look forward to meet during the interview process for those who apply. And as I said, we are leading the industry, and we need brave, courageous, and accountable people to join us. Thanks for that.
Great, thanks, Alberto.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Mike.
I'll wrap it up there. Please feel free to drop us a line on LinkedIn, IM, to any of us if you need to go into any more detail or depth or questions. But thanks again, and have a good day all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.